Voss, I think you're going into a heavy training workload with the boys at the moment. Just talk us through what that is and looks like.
Yeah, well, we've called it Camp Week effectively. It's our signature week of the program. They'll experience probably the biggest loads they'll get right throughout the season. So come Friday, they'll be pretty worn out. Our workload's going to obviously go up a fair bit. With that, we get to throw in a few other little things too and have some fun and along the way and a chance to build sort of some of those connection things that we've built on the last couple of years. So we'll use the week for all those things.
And I guess the idea of this is that it helps you in the back end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the campaign's going to get larger this year. The games will be longer. I know it was only longer 2 years ago, but so it wasn't that long ago. But the season will be longer. So being able to get this body of work in is really important for us. And fortunate we're not dealing with low numbers. We've got good, healthy numbers on the track. So it means we've got plenty of presence there, and it gives us a chance to work on the little things that will hopefully make a difference in the end.
I was going to say, supporters at this time of year probably don't want to hear much from the footy club because it means there's no injuries. Is that what it is? It seems like Hamish is back and most guys that had post-season ops are going okay. Yeah, well, pre-season we can't benchmark against anything other than ourselves. And one of those really important markers is that any AFL club will have across the 18 AFL clubs is their ability to be able to get players out on the track. And fortunately, through the whole pre-season, we've been quite healthy in that regard. We manage players as we need to, but we're in that fortunate position where we can do that. It just makes the drills much more intense. You can focus a little bit more in what you want to get out of your game style, and you can get into match play pretty quick, which is obviously the stage we're at right now.
Is it similar to last year in terms of how much workload there is, or is it heavier this year?
No, it'll be about the same, but probably a bit more of a football focus. Clearly when we have this sort of week, it's normally pre-Christmas and we're going into that break, and you've got some physical requirements that you need to build into them as well as some footy. We'll take a bit more of a footy focus to be able to get the workload into them, which is what they love. That means playing a little bit more match play rather than just necessarily drills. So. It is an increased load, and we want to get that body of work into them to obviously in preparation for the practice matches coming up.
What's kind of some of the stuff you'll do away from the training track? Will you get the Resilience program in again, kind of do that kind of stuff again?
That won't be in this year, but it's a few little connection activities without going into too much detail. We're obviously lucky at this time of the year to be able to, whether that's someone coming out of our program into our program and listen to them speak. We've had that. We've had ex-players come in and talk to us in the past about, their particular eras and what the club means to them. We've had a lot of fun activities as well to be able to, obviously, raise the importance of the message that we're trying to get across. So, there won't be as much as what we've had in previous seasons because we're obviously a little bit more restricted with time, but it does give us a chance to narrow focus in a few little areas.
Going away aspect of it's been so important for you guys because you've had such a big miss turnover in recent years. You said you don't really go into too much detail on the other activities, but the bringing in those new boys this week has been so important for it traditionally. What do we see? How do the new lads get further into the group this week?
Oh, well, I think the good thing about it when you're operating on such a short time frame is that we've had to bring them really quickly. So we've had some small things to be able to bring them in really quickly, which has been good to see straight away. But then the program I guess this year isn't going to be so much condensed in one block. It's got to be sort of gets drip fed in over 4, 6, 8 weeks. So we'll build that connection over time, and I guess we're fortunate in that we're not sitting here trying to overhaul anything. We're not spending a pre-season where we're trying to find a new game style. We're not spending a whole pre-season trying to, reconnect the group. We're working on the real marginal things that will hopefully make a difference for us. Again, fortunate to have a lot of people out on the track means that they can get into the game style and the game model that we're after really, really quickly. So that connection can be built on field and off field.
Given all of those things, do you sort of say as a coaching group, this is it? Do the players, is everyone sort of on the same page? This is a time that we are a team to beat?
I would hope so. I think that belief is built. I guess over last pre-season, we needed some evidence for that to happen. Going back 12 months, we were largely inconsistent. Felt like we had a really great environment, training can really consistently, but we're struggling to transfer that into game week on week. whereas last year we were able to get that consistency, week after week after week. So there should be no doubt that there's a belief being built within this group. There's some genuine confidence being built amongst one another about what we can do. But we still feel like we're a progressive footy team. We still feel like we've a lot of growth left in us because, our list says that we've still got that demographic that has got improvement in it, which is pretty exciting.
Voss, if you're picking a round one team for next weekend, are there any of those boys that you picked up in the off-season that you could say are shoo-ins?
Oh, hard to write insurance at the moment. There's a fair bit to play out. So, pre-season one thing, practice things are another. So, no, I wouldn't have thought we'd be sitting here saying that we've locked anyone in at this point in time. I mean, we talk about marginal gains. We're about trying to give exposure to guys in different positions that, aren't just being able to play in one set position, but, can play in another, whether that's playing forward or going on ball or whether that's wing going forward. So, we're still growing that in our game.
On those guys, new positions, I think in pre-season last year you kind of said, we might be playing Pep forward, and that ended up being a successful move. I mean, is there any flagging any positional moves for anyone at the moment? Or?
Nothing standing out at me, other than, there might be some guys spending more time in a particular area of the ground. I mean, we were sitting here last year saying that, Butters and Rosie be spending more time in midfield. Well, Rose probably didn't get that amount of time just because he was a little bit interrupted with his foot for most of last year. So we'd expect him to get more of that time. Same with Butters. Dersma's, constantly growing his role, just not on the wing, but now in other areas. So there's an area that we expect some growth in, and that only just builds our midfield depth, really.
Obviously, the WA is obviously in lockdown this week. Teams can't train at the moment. Has there been any conversations with the AFL about potentially halting training here and across the East Coast?
No, but we, like all of this, we're guided by the AFL. So when we hear from them about what their protocols will be or, what happens, we'll just wait and see. Otherwise, for us, we go forward, as is. I guess in some ways, this year's going to be a little bit different. And I think, that being able to stay flexible and adaptable and be able to move, there's a high chance we're going to experience something quite similar. And in some ways you could perceive that as a little more frustrating because things will come up a lot quicker than what they have in the past. But I think what we've done really, really well as a group is we've embraced all of that. We've actually seen it as a real challenge to work through, an opportunity to build our resilience as a group. And if it requires change, then so be it. But we're planning as it is right now.
Voss, you've been in the game 30 years, you were just saying before, 7 now at Port. Do you feel it's almost your second home now? You're loving being here?
Yeah, I do. How can you not with this sunshine? It's absolutely magnificent. But yeah, it's home. Where you put your roots down is where home is, and it's very familiar. I guess in some ways as a coaching group, we've also grown with this group as well, and we're seeing the emergence of a new wave of talent coming in, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of. So, we want to make sure we maximise that opportunity. It doesn't get given to you. We should know that. The loss that we had last year in the last game should hurt enough to drive us. And if we're able to just, get it all right at the right time, and I see no reason why we can't do that, then, we should do well this season.
And you're still a young man. Do you feel like you've got enough in you to go around the top again and head coaching if that opportunity?
Oh, wow. That's a little too early to be going into that. We're Feb 1. We've got a couple of things to tick off before we get to that stage, but... No, I'm quite comfortable to get Tuesday's training session done and Wednesdays after that, and then we'll see how we go.
I know you get asked about it.
Experience last year with North at all now?
Yeah, it's a relevant conversation for me. So even answering it really doesn't really warrant anything. So no, I couldn't be further more entrenched with where I am and what I'm doing here, and there'll be no distractions in our pursuit of being able to get to where we want to go. So I'm not about to create one now.
Just on, you touched on before the belief, and you'd know better than anyone who takes the flag how much of it is player driven. From what you're seeing, are these boys ready to take the next step? Are they ready? Are they mature enough?
Well, I think the big thing that you have to do through pre-season is give yourself an opportunity to be able to set up your season. Now, if you look through pre-season and what we've done, it's only early days. We've done that. The guys have presented themselves in great fashion for us to be able to get into a game like drills straight away. So that's been a really big tick. one year doesn't relate to another, but we've certainly been able to establish some consistency in the way that we play. So there's some reliability amongst the group in what we need to be able to play like to give us ourselves the best chance. And then for us, we just go into pure qualification mode, and that's what the home and away season is. We qualify. If we qualify well, if we give ourselves a good percentage chance, then we'll go a long way. But to get ahead of that, would be, I think, quite arrogant, and we can't afford to do that. We've got to stay in the moment, live in the moment, get our jobs done, and that'll look after itself.
Last one, guys. He's got a
Yeah, going well. No, as I said, we've had some really good time on the track with the guys. So there's a guy who was probably somewhat frustrated last year with his year and got frustrated with his body, and he knew he could give more, and he wanted to give more, and he just wasn't able to. So if I see a guy that's really determined to get the most out of himself, it would be him for sure.
Voss, I just quickly wanted to ask about the Collingwood racism report. Firstly, have you read about it much this morning, and does that type of thing stem any conversations within the club here?
Look, first of all, I'm not as familiar with it, but certainly from our perspective, I mean, that's something that Collingwood are dealing with. For me to comment on someone else's process is probably inappropriate, so leave it at that.